Hello and welcome. So we're with Gino here. We're going to talk about funding and why you should really level up your level of education on getting funding, and also just like start to think about what your life would look like if you had access to more funding.
The whole point of funding was to me was like, well, how do I get access to money that I never had? Like
Right.
where other than working for someone else to collect and collect and collect and save, how fast can I scale? Like, when I was buying real estate, I was like, well, I can buy one property a year, maybe in
Right.
California, right? But like otherwise, I'm like, well, I want to be able to buy multiple properties. Or I have to go out of state, but I didn't really want to go out of state. I like to stay local. I like to stay with the family and friends. Everybody's around here. So for me, it was like, well, how do I scale my business? How do I grow? How do I get out of the basic 9 to 5, or even like even if my business is making money, how do I scale that business, right? Well, the one way that or most ways, in all business, entrepreneurs, business owners will tell you is to get access to money or get capital. You need capital to grow a business. In order to grow a business, if you're making money, all you need to do is repeat, right? So maximize and repeat. So how do you maximize your profits? You need to get access to other people's money. Now, other people's money can mean many things, like as a rich man poor dad tells you, it's about cash flow and leverage, right? So those two things are very critical in this situation. You want to be able to access other people's money, but the money, other people's money is the bank's money. It's not necessarily just, a person or some other entity giving it to you, and then you can access that money within yourself. You don't have to go outside yourself or go and beg somebody to give you some money. You have access to that money through funding, and that requires your credit. You have your credit, and once your credit is set, you can access money to grow your business, and that other people's money, in this case the banks, will allow you to access up to 100 to $200,000, depending on where you are and how your business is structured. You can access other people's money and grow your business. That's why it's so critical to yourself, your family, your business, everything that you always wanted. You always wanted that freedom and be able to access money and be able to grow your business without having to, save up every month or every week in order to, make a sale or do something else. Whatever you're doing, that gives you the flexibility and also the cushion, right? You need the cushion to know that I can spend this $100 today and not worry that I don't have that money coming in tomorrow. So you need to be able to make that available for you, and that's through funding. And that's why funding is so powerful. It's a monumental change. It changed my life. It allowed me to scale my business, multiple
Yeah.
businesses in multiple ways. Over $100,000 in funding can change your life. I've gotten myself over $350,000 in business and personal funding. Now you can access money to the personal side and business side. Either way, you have access to money, and we teach you that as well.
There's really like three things that why you would get funding, right? One, you want to start a new business, you want to start a new venture, you need that initial capital just to like get things off the ground. Number two, it's like when the business really starts growing, like you're going to have a lot of moving pieces, and like you need to pay to get supplies that you don't have the cash flow right now, but it will come. And then the other one is just like peace of mind, right? Like sometimes people need to repair their equipment. They don't have the funds right now. Sometimes they need to just be sleeping at night and know that they have access to funds if something goes weird. There's lots of different reasons why everybody should
Absolutely.
be
And you
getting
hit it
funding
right
or
there, right?
always be working to get funding.
Exactly. Well, you hit it right there. When it comes to like, any business, in my case, real estate, the toilet stopped working. You got a broken roof. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't have money in your bank, how are you gonna be able to fix that problem, right? You're gonna
Right.
depend on your tenants to pay you the money in order to fix the problem. Sure, you can do that, assuming that you had enough rent come in and you have money saved. But if you don't have that money saved and you're in a tight hole at home, right? So
Yep.
how do you like kind of navigate that situation? Well, you need to be able to figure out how to get money, and other people's money means getting access to money that you yourself have, that you yourself already inherently are born with, because you have
Yeah.
a social security number, you have a credit card or credit number, a credit score, that you can actually access money, and that gives you the flexibility, the cushion, like you mentioned, to to not be afraid on a day-to-day basis if something goes wrong, and you have access to that money and you can always pay it back over time. That's the beautiful thing about credit. So
Yeah.
I love that you said that. It's very important to have that ability to bring capital and also fix issues and move forward in business, because that's what really what most businesses lose, is that they don't have enough capital capital or cash flow coming in order to offset the expenses or issues that have come on through the business along the way, right? So then they
Yeah.
go out of business. Now, if you have cash flow coming in and you're able to leverage, just like Rich Man Poor Dad, right? Dad said you have to have cash flow and leverage. So you can leverage money, you can bring in cash flow. Boom. It's a win-win situation. You're constantly making money and you have other people's money to offset your expenses. Therefore, you're collecting and then you're also paying back whatever you borrowed. But at the same time, you're not going to be at a loss or you won't go out of business. That's the most important thing. This gives you that cushion, that ability to know that you can take care of yourself and your family and you'll never go out of business as long as you manage your money and your credit right.
Yeah. I just remember, whenever I was starting my businesses, it was like always like the issue was money, right? And then I finally did have a bunch of money and I was like, oh, I still have all these other issues. This is one less issue that I have to deal with. You know what I mean?
And this is something that most people that are in business may not even know about. Like this is something that business owners or business entrepreneurs, they may have had to like make a lot of money really quick in order to scale their business. Otherwise they would not be where they are. This gives opportunity to anybody, any average day 9 to 5 individual, working class American has the opportunity and has the ability to do this and be able to create their own cash flow, their own family, their own dream life that they want. They just need to be able to manage their money correctly. But if they don't have access to money, they can't grow out of their, their eggshell, basically.
Yeah, they get stuck in the loop.
And exactly. You're stuck in the loop. You're constantly trying to make that 9 to 5 income and you're trying to, manage what you have. But if you have more money, imagine your eggshell is bigger and bigger. And you used to this. You used to having this small money, but now you have way more and you just have to, now you're able to like, oh, I can pull from here, pay this off, pull from here, pay this off. And then you're no longer tight to your 9 to 5, or you're not, you can keep your job and do this. You don't need to quit your job. You can do this while you're working. Either way, I think funding is the way to go for anyone in America, working class, especially, 9 to 5ers, anyone that's trying to get out of the day-to-day grind. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. And I think if you want to change yourself and your life and your family's life, this is the way to go,
Yeah, I agree. Let's answer a couple of questions that I'm sure people have. It's like, how fast do you think people can get funding?
Funding could be done as little as 30 days, 2 weeks. Just depends on where you are as far as your credit file is concerned. And that the access to funding requires sometimes to get LLC if you don't have an LLC or a business. So you can get funding on the personal side and the business side. So essentially 30 days to 45 days is like the I would say the minimum time. Within 2 weeks, if you're ready to go right off the bat, we can get you started right away. But if you're trying to get something that's you're trying to build a business, you're trying to start from scratch, for example, it could take up to 2 to 3 months to get that going. But then once you build that business, you can get personal funding right away, but the business side takes a little bit longer because you want to build that credibility, and you also have the your file in order. So having your file in order, if your credit is not where it's at, don't worry, we can help you with that. We can get you there. That's where we have our coaching courses as well, where we can get you to the point where you are ready for funding. And if your credit is above 680, you're ready. At this point, if you're 680, you're ready to go. So you don't have to worry, oh, do I need to do something? We just got to see your file, and adding a few trade lines could just be the trick, and boom, we can get you into funding, get you 100 grand, 150 grand right away. So it's just a matter of where you are in the file. So we have to be able to look at that, and that's what we want to give everybody an opportunity to allow us to do that. And then I think that's the biggest change is that when you start to be able to see the change in other people's lives, you want that change for yourself. And funding it's really quick, 2 weeks to a month if you're ready to go.
That's awesome. And I mean, just answer some other questions. I think the cool thing about getting funding with you is you're not like married to one bank, right? So you can go out there and like shop around and help find the best deal for people. So let's talk about that a little bit.
So we're basically, we're our goal is to kind of access money. That's the whole point of other people's money. Like we're not, I can be a lender and I can give you money through a private lending. We can have a contract, but if I'm the guy that's going to help you get to the next step, which is accessing money to the different banks, we access top tier banks, Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, all those tier banks, as well as the secondary local banks like credit unions. You got Alliant, you got Navy Federal, You got, connect, like so many different banks that we can use, as well as the actual like businesses. The businesses are a whole another, bank system that we can use, as well as like business funding, like Rapid. We can use Avon. We can use Future. There's a lot of different business banks that we access that basically gives you a wider range of opportunities instead of just being tied up to one bank or tied up to like LendingTree, which only has access to a certain number of affiliates that they work with. We, on the other hand, are able to get you the right funding, which is basically the funding that gets you the maximum amount of money available at the lowest rate possible. So that means getting you credit card stacking. We'll get you, 5 to 10 credit cards that, up to 10, 15, $20,000 and as much as we can. So it's all about getting you maximum funding, and that's what you get with us. We don't shy short. We're not gonna cut you short. We're gonna get you what you deserve.
Yeah, I love the maximum funding thing. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And like, I guess it's just another fear that I think people have is like, oh, getting into debt is bad, right? But when you can get like really low interest rates on the amount of money, it's basically just cheap money at that point, right? That's like what everybody gets. Like, do you think what does it take to get like zero interest if possible, or just low interest for people?
I mean, nowadays it doesn't take much, even on the business side, but the personal side, you can get credit cards like pretty quickly, as long as your score is right where it's supposed to be and you got enough trade lines, you have enough credit history, you can get starting right away, get 0% interest on American Express, Bank of America, Chase. All these banks are US Bank. They're all offering 0% interest for 24 months or 18 months or 12 months, right? So it depends on what their offer is, but essentially is if you've never applied for that bank, you're gold. If you apply for a bank, there's rules and regulations that we go ahead and make sure we get you, access to that bank. If you can't apply for that bank because you have like 3 or 4 cards from that bank, no problem. We'll go hit another bank. That's the difference. The difference is we're not going to, be like, oh, you can only get this one bank to get 0 interest. You can get access to 0 interest on multiple banks, multiple credit cards, multiple credit lines, and also low interest loans that, on the business side as well.
That's awesome. I mean, that's pretty much all I can think of. I mean, why wouldn't somebody want to get funded at this point?
No, I mean, honestly, you made one point. We talked about cash flow. We talked about a debt, right? Credit leverage and debt. And I think credit leverage, when you talk about credit and funding is basically debt available for you to use, and right. That's leverage, right? You have to be able to leverage to make more money. And debt is a good thing if you use it wisely, right? If you don't use it correctly, you're going to go into debt. But that's the whole point. That's why we have our coaching program. We also have the funding program, which gives you money to give you money. But we're not going to let you go and just walk away. We'll help you if you want to take it to the next step and learn how to leverage debt and learn how to invest in businesses if you want to start a business. That's what really is a monumental change, and that's part of our Credit Leverage X program that we're also offering as after you get funded. So let's help you get funded. Let's get you started. If your credit's not there, we'll get you there. Join our coaching program, and then we'll get you to that level. If you're ready to go, within 2 weeks, we can get you funded. If your credit is ready to go, about 680, and you have credibility. So either way, we can build in credibility. It might take a month or so, but we're gonna basically guarantee you funding as soon as you sign up.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I do want people to know is like, it's not free though. You do have to pay to put a little bit down to get this funding, right? That's one thing that people think. It's like, oh, it's just free money. No, you gotta pay a minimum, because that's how all these banks are doing, and you got to pay us to put in the work to find you the absolute best. But it's like, if you have to pay $3,000 to get $100,000, like it's a no brainer. You know what I mean? Like I don't think.
I mean, I talk to people all the time. Like, well, if I gave you $5,000 today, because our program is about $5,000, you can do it on a payment plan or you can pay up front. Either way, main thing is your goal is getting money, right? So if you give me 5,000 today and I give you back 50,000 or 100,000 tomorrow of business or other people's money, you just paid to access more money, 10 to 20 times more, not 5, not 10, 30, 40 times more money that you didn't have. So that 5,000 is really not worth fighting over, because at the end of the day, like, you're getting access to way more money, and that 5,000 gives you credit lines, gives you leverage, right? When you have leverage, you grow. If you want to stay where you are, then keep the 5,000, but then boom, your 5,000 is depleted. What are you gonna do next? right? So the best thing is invest the money in yourself and get access to more money, and then you can leverage that money to grow your business and fund yourself instead of having to ask friends, family, or whoever else to help you when you don't have the money. Money is not what people think it is. Money is actually think of money as credit. Think of credit as money. They both equal the same thing. So whenever you give me cash, I give you credit. It's the same thing. There's no difference. At the end of the day, you can leverage credit, you can leverage money.
Yeah, exactly. So basically we went over, like, if you want to get if you want to get funded fast with really low interest rates and maximize your funding, fill out the form below or click the button to go to the funding page. If you need to fix your credit, or if you want to learn how to really use credit and leverage it and maximize the amount of money that you want to make, and then also get the maximum amount of funding and then turn that into generational wealth and profit, join our coaching program. We'll talk to you about that on a sales call if you're interested. Otherwise, you can also buy our course and kind of dip your toes in and see what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Sounds
we're trying
pretty
to
good.
change lives here. That's all we can.